The creaky floorboards of the old house echoed beneath my feet as I cautiously made my way through the dimly lit hallway. My heart pounded in my chest, the only sound in the eerie silence. Every step felt like a weight upon my shoulders, each one bringing me closer to the unknown. I had always been skeptical of the supernatural, dismissing ghost stories as mere fiction. But now, as I ventured deeper into this abandoned mansion, I couldn't shake the feeling of dread that consumed me. It was as if the very air was heavy with the presence of something unseen, something sinister. Suddenly a chill ran down my spine as a cold gust of wind swept through the hallway, extinguishing the flickering candle in my hand. Darkness enveloped me, suffocating and thick. Panic seized me as I fumbled for a source of light, but before I could find one, I felt a frigid touch upon my shoulder. My breath caught in my throat as I turned, expecting to confront the unknown entity that lurked in the shadows. But to my horror, there was nothing there. Nothing, that is, except for the echoing whispers that seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves, speaking words I could not comprehend, yet filled me with an unexplainable terror. With trembling hands, I stumbled backwards, desperate to escape this nightmare, but no matter how fast I ran, the darkness pursued me, consuming everything in its path. And as I collapsed onto the cold floor, consumed by fear and exhaustion, I realized that in this house of horrors, I was not alone. For the ghosts of the past lingered here, their restless spirits trapped within these walls, seeking vengeance for sins long forgotten. The outcome was grim. Despite my efforts to flee, I found myself ensnared in the grip of the supernatural forces that haunted the old mansion. As the whispers grew louder and the shadows closed in around me, I knew that escape was futile. Trapped within the confines of this cursed abode, I became just another victim of its malevolent inhabitants, doomed to wander the halls as a tormented soul for all eternity. The sun had dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the overgrown path as my friend Sarah and I trekked through the dense forest. We were on a dare, exploring the rumored haunted house at the edge of town. Sarah laughed nervously, her voice echoing through the trees as we joked about our bravery. But as we reached the decrepit mansion, our laughter faded into uneasy silence. The air grew thick with tension as we stepped over the threshold, the floorboards groaning beneath our weight. Goosebumps prickled my skin as we ventured deeper into the darkness, our footsteps echoing off the crumbling walls. Suddenly, a cold breeze swept through the room, extinguishing our flickering flashlights. Panic seized us as we fumbled in the dark, the sound of our racing hearts drowning out all else. Then from the shadows came a whisper, faint yet unmistakable. Sarah's grip tightened on my arm as we turned to flee, but it was too late. The spirits of the house had awoken, their presence engulfing us in a suffocating embrace. And as we screamed into the void, I realized that some terrors are all too real, lurking in the darkness, waiting to claim their next victims. Desperate, we stumbled through the maze of corridors, pursued by unseen forces that seemed to toy with our every move. Our screams echoed off the walls, mingling with the chilling laughter of the spirits that haunted this cursed abode. Sarah and I clung to each other, our only source of solace in this nightmare. But as the minutes stretched into eternity, hope began to fade, replaced by a bone-deep dread that settled over us like a shroud. With each passing moment, the malevolent energy of the house seemed to grow stronger, feeding off our fear and desperation. And then, just when we thought we could bear it no longer, we stumbled upon a room bathed in an otherworldly glow. A sense of calm washed over us as we entered, the oppressive atmosphere lifting like a veil. But as we turned to leave, we were met with a sight that chilled us to the core. Standing before us were the ghostly figures of those who had met their end in this house of horrors. Their hollow eyes bore into ours, their spectral forms shimmering in the ethereal light, and as they reached out to us with icy fingers, I knew that our fate was sealed. For in this place, the boundary between the living and the dead had blurred, and Sarah and I were doomed to join the ranks of the lost souls that wandered these halls for eternity. About 5 years ago, the moon hung low in the sky, casting eerie shadows over the gravestones. My friend Charles and I ventured into the old cemetery at the outskirts of town. It was a dare we couldn't resist, fueled by teenage curiosity and bravado. Charles joked nervously as we passed rows of weathered headstones, but his laughter held a hint of unease. I could sense his apprehension, mirroring my own, as we delved deeper into the silent realm of the dead. The air was thick with the scent of earth and decay, sending shivers down my spine despite the warmth of the night. Our footsteps echoed softly against the damp grass as we searched for any sign of the supernatural, our hearts pounding in anticipation. But as we reached the oldest section of the cemetery, our playful banter died on our lips. A cold breeze swept through the graveyard, chilling us to the bone as we stumbled upon a forgotten mausoleum hidden among the trees. "It's cold as hell," I remember thinking to myself. Its crumbling facade loomed before us like a silent sentinel, beckoning us closer with a sense of foreboding. Charles hesitated, his eyes wide with fear, but I urged him forward, my own curiosity overpowering any sense of caution. With trembling hands, we pushed open the heavy door, revealing a darkness so profound it seemed to swallow the very light around us. As we stepped inside, a chill ran down my spine, and I knew we had trespassed into a realm beyond our understanding. Shadows danced upon the walls, whispering secrets of the past as we ventured deeper into the heart of the mausoleum. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the darkness, icy and hollow, sending a shiver down my spine. Charles gripped my arm, his face pale as he muttered a prayer under his breath. But it was too late. The spirits of the cemetery had awoken, their ethereal forms materializing before us with a haunting beauty that belied their true nature. Their eyes bore into ours, filled with a sorrow so profound it chilled me to the core. And as they reached out to us with spectral hands, I knew that we were no longer safe in the realm of the living. Desperate to escape, Charles and I fled into the night, our hearts pounding in our chests as we raced through the cemetery. But no matter how fast we ran, the ghosts pursued us with a relentless determination, their mournful wails echoing in our ears. And as we stumbled out of the graveyard, breathless and terrified, I knew that we had unleashed forces beyond our control. For in that moment, Charles and I became forever bound to the spirits of the cemetery, destined to wander its hallowed grounds until the end of time. "Don't come here,"